I got up today and I was thinking about some of what's been happening this week. I had a meeting with my students in the Black Business School yesterday, and one of the things that we were talking about in the Black Business School, we have a class called the Black Wealth Academy. And in the Black Wealth Academy, we were talking about ways that we can respond to all this craziness that's been going on. All this stuff that excuse me, has been happening in our community with these police. You know, for and obviously it's unacceptable. Obviously, it's something that we have to stand up against. One of the things that you have to understand about the world in which we live is that this world is kind of built on warfare. Um, this world is built on competition. This world is built on power. It's built on the idea that if you don't have the ability to stand up for yourself, people will bully you, especially white supremacists. If you haven't, if you don't understand this concept, I encourage you to check out Hidden Colors 4 or one of the other parts of the Hidden Colors series. Because right now, I mean, that's one of the best resources we have as far as popular media when it comes to Black history. I watched Hidden Colors 4 the other day with Damon Dash and his son Boogie Dash down in the little movie theater they had in the basement, and he was floored by it. I could tell that they were changed by what they saw. If you want to order Hidden Colors through us, we actually have we made a deal with Tariq where we help him sell his film to the public. You can go to hiddencolors1234.com if you want the whole set. That's hiddencolors1234.com. Or if you just want to order Hidden Colors 4, and I'm actually in Hidden Colors 4, you can go to hiddencolorsbundlepack.com. That's hiddencolorsbundlepack.com. And with that bundle pack, you actually get 4 copies, e-copies of 4 of my books, as well as a lot of other educational materials to supplement your learning. One of the things that I strongly believe is that Black people we have to take over every part of the process when it involves what happens, in terms of what shapes our psyches, in terms of what shapes our economic outcomes. Far too many of us are still accustomed to fighting a system, but yet depending on that system at the same time. And if you know that, this system is something that you're dependent upon, then you have to reduce that dependence in order to challenge it. It's as simple as if you when I used to get in arguments with my mother, let's say I was 17, 18 years old, I would get into big arguments with my parents about all kinds of stuff. And I remember my parents would say little stuff like, my mom would say, well, you ain't paying no bills up in here. So basically it was like, you get no respect because you ain't paying no bills. You can't take care of yourself. You can't find your own place to live. So how you up in here talking shit to me when you can't even pay your own bills? And I thought about that and I said, you're right. And so I found a way to pay my own bills. I got my first job. I got my first job when I was young. I think I started working when I was 12. And I loved it. I used to sell candy door to door. It was it was a horrible, a horrible way to make money for the first time. But I didn't do very well the first couple of times, but I stuck with it. And eventually, shoot, that was when that entrepreneurial energy started popping through my head because I would literally see, she would show me my little route that I had to follow. It was this white lady who was basically exploiting us. I ain't gonna lie. This lady had us out here trying to look cute, selling this overpriced candy, and she kept most of the money. I think she gave us 75 cents for every $3 box that we sold. And the box would probably cost her like 50 cents. So she would keep 225, we would get 75 cents. But I loved it because I could work all day, and if I sold like 30 boxes, I'd make a grip. You know what I mean? Like, it was cool to be 12 years old and have 20 something, $25 in your pocket the next day at school. So I didn't care, and I was the number one salesperson eventually. And I think that was my first taste of knowing what it meant to print money. What it meant to be able to see an opportunity and see the dollars, see the wealth that can be built just from seeing the opportunity. And I think that is something that reignited in me when I became an entrepreneur in my 30s. So what you probably want to do with your kids is get them in a position where they think that way at an early age, where they can learn very early how to make that money. My assistant's daughter was killing it, selling candy at school, making more money than most grown people selling candy at school. You know what I mean? Like, so don't, don't think entrepreneurship has to be complicated. It's something that anybody can do, really, but it's something a lot of us are afraid to do. I mean, you ain't scared to go out here and go, serve a white guy every day and kiss his ass and have him treat you like crap. But you're scared to have your own. You start your own business. You're scared to work with your own community. You're scared to start things with your own family. That don't make no damn sense. Or you think it's super duper hard to start a business? Yeah, it's hard work, but I mean, it's probably harder work doing what you do right now. It's harder work dealing with them crazy white folks at work every day that treat you differently because you're black. So it's going to be hard regardless. You might as well put your energy into something that's going to benefit you. That's just my 2 cents. Now, what I want to talk about real quick is I want to dig into this boycott. Somebody sent me something via text, and I don't even know if I'm even supposed to mention this on social media, but I really think that there's no harm in doing this because I think we need to transmit the message. Basically, there were some people, it was a message from some folks at Howard University, some students proposed the idea of doing a boycott. And they actually, it's very ironic that they proposed this idea because this was literally something I talked to somebody about the day before this happened, because I was trying to think about what's an economic strategy to help us prove our point. And what they basically proposed was something that I think could actually work, just sort of almost like economic boycott flash mobs. But basically what I mean by that is, basically I said, maybe instead of trying to attack everything and boycotting everybody because the system's so big, we create fear in those who eat off of us, who make money from us, by basically strategically attacking some institution, once every, every month. You know what I mean? Just every month, pick a company and say, boom, we're going after you. Boom, we're going after you. Boom, we're going after you. And the first couple companies that were mentioned were Target and Walmart. Now, it's weird because one email said Target, the other one said Walmart. So I was a little confused about which one they wanted. So I say, let's just boycott both. But, if I had to pick an order, I would say Walmart it's far more notorious for its labor practices. And plus they just have, shoddy crap. But if you want to go after both, that's fine. But at the very least, start with Walmart for sure. And then if if you're really down for the cause, go with Target as well. And then also, they were mentioning that you should go to deposit $100 in a black bank. Now, I have a list of black-owned banks. And now, if you're actually in the Facebook Live feed right now, if you have a list of black-owned banks, can you copy and paste that link into the feed so everybody can grab it and share it? And I want everybody to share it on social media. Also, take a second right now, if you think this information is helpful to you, please just hit the share button real quick and share this conversation to your page. And while you're doing that, after you do that, I want you to write down this URL. I want you to get a free copy of my book, It Takes a Village to Raise the Bar, A New Paradigm for Black America. You can get your free e-copy at drboycewatkins.net. And the reason I want you to have this book is because it basically kind of lays out a template and a blueprint of sort of 4 pillars on which we can build the next generation. Because what we have to do is sort of do a black construction project where we, sort of tear down some of what we learned and who we are and what we've been taught that we are, and rebuild it in the image of an empire, rebuild it in the image of true kings and queens in the 21st, 22nd century, not as people that are overly dependent on other people. So basically they mentioned, they also mentioned Coke products. They meant, no, well, Kimberly says $100 is not enough. It won't make a difference. Actually, Kimberly, the logic is that if a million of us put $100 into black-owned banks, that's 100 million in capital that gets transferred over. I think 100 is listed as a bare minimum. But if you want to go for 1,000, Kimberly, then please go for it. If you want to go for 10 grand, go for it. If you want to go for 1 million, Kim, if you got it like that, sister, then go for it. Go hard. So absolutely push yourself to whatever standard you can. They just propose $100 as kind of a starting point, right? But anyway, where was I on that? The other thing they mentioned was Coke products. They mentioned Coca-Cola products. So, and it's all good. I mean, really, when you think about Coca-Cola products, I don't need to drink that shit anyway. It's not healthy. I mean, Coca-Cola burns through. I think they showed where it burned through. I forgot what it was, but they were showing it could burn through things, and it's not something that should be in your stomach anyway. If you don't see a link for black-owned banks, what I'm going to do is I'm going to message my operations manager, and I'm going to say, can you please send me a link to the black-owned banks, because I know we got one, because there's an article. In fact, you know what? Rather than doing that, I'm going to a link to a list of black-owned banks. Okay. All right. So if she gets back to me, Lene's pretty much on point. So if Lene gets back to me during this conversation, I'll go ahead and just share it right now. And really, we should just have it on one of our platforms anyway. So let me see here. Okay. So one of the reasons why this this kind of diplomacy works, this kind of warfare works. And I actually talk about this. I have a lecture that I did in Houston that I'm actually going to do in some other cities too, called "The 10 Rules of Black Economic Warfare." And basically, this kind of diplomacy works because in this society that you live in, a lot of the power is based on who can develop solid economic systems. One of the reasons that people of color here and around the world struggle. Right now, it's only a moment in time. It's not a long-term state at all. I believe. Remember, history runs in cycles, so everybody has their day. Right now, as far as Africa and African Americans, this might not be our most glorious moment, but I think it can be. I believe that it can become our most glorious moment because it's beautiful to have an amazing comeback, right? But part of the reason we struggle in the global economy is that not enough of us sit around and really obsess about the development of economic systems. If you watch movies like go to Netflix and watch that comedy, The Big Short. It's a really funny movie, and it's all about the 2008 stock market crash and basically how these some of these arrogant white boys on Wall Street basically ruined the American economy because they developed their own system. They developed a system that where they could literally throw around $1 billion in capital like it was nothing. They would talk about, $500 million like you and I talk about $50. And in fact, one of the companies that they established, one of the economic cooperatives, that's kind of what a corporation is, just a bunch of people pulling their capital together to do something together, right? So one of their corporations, AIG, literally lost $100 billion, $100 billion. And I'm sitting there thinking, wow, that's amazing that you can lose $100 billion and still be standing, that you can still even exist. Most of us couldn't exist after 100, losing that much money. So ultimately, Katie says on here, I'm looking at your comment, Katie, that it's easy to win a game that you created. Well, I'm going to ask you this. Why can't we create our own game? Who says that we have to play somebody else's game? See, that's the problem. You spend all your life learning how to play somebody else's game. And it took me a while to figure that out, and that's why I'm sharing this with you. So I don't blame you for not knowing this. I don't. I mean, I have a PhD, and it took me till my 30s to learn this, right? But literally, I remember thinking, wow, I spent all my time learning how to play somebody else's game. Well, really, we can create our own game. We can flip the board over and play Monopoly, in our own neighborhoods, but play it in a healthy and conscientious way. It doesn't have to be it doesn't have to be sort of like this sort of vulturous capitalism. Lene's good. She just sent me this list of black-owned banks. So what I'm gonna do for you guys is I'm gonna share this with you in the feed on the Black Knowledge page, if that's where you live. If you're watching from another page, then you should hit the like button on Black Knowledge. Black Knowledge is a page run by my very good friend, respected colleague, Jamal Brewer. That's Jamal's last name. And Jamal is just a good brother, a strong brother out of Columbus, Ohio, who has always just been down for black people, in a very authentic, very humble sort of way. Just a real soldier, much respect. But anyway, guys, okay, so the link has been shared with you. It looks ugly. The link looks very ugly. But if you click on it, it'll take you to a list of black-owned banks. So I encourage you to share that link to your social media platforms. And I need you to really take an active role in this boycott. I need you to take an active role in really putting the hammer down as far as pushing people to understand their role in this. Because what we need to win wars is you need soldiers. You need soldiers. And in an economic war, everybody can be a soldier. All of us are soldiers in the economic war. And really, what we're trying to do as well is we've actually implemented programs in the Black Business School that will train our children to be lieutenants and sergeants and captains and majors and generals in this economic war. The Black Millionaires of Tomorrow program has a very serious, very clear agenda. The agenda is to, in the next generation, create 50 to 100,000 Black economic soldiers, children that understand the fundamentals of wealth building, cooperative economics, entrepreneurship, and all these things that matter for us as far as our economic future. My belief, my argument is that if we train that first 50,000 on those fundamentals, then they're going to be able to employ the next 50 million. So just like in a regular military, not everybody has to be a soldier, but you need the soldiers out front to defend the village and to fight for the village. So if you're interested in the wealth building program for children, go visit blackmillionairesoftomorrow.com. That's blackmillionairesoftomorrow.com. Also, if you want the free e-copy of my book, It Takes a Village to Raise the Bar, visit drboycewatkins.net. Not .com, that's .net. Now, what I want to jump into real quick is a quick discussion about how economic diplomacy is used around the world. One thing that differs between the United States and China is this: the Chinese are not like the Americans in the sense that Americans, as a country, are just stupid and violent. We're just off the chain in terms of how we respond to things. It's really appalling. It's really ridiculous. It's really laughable that people are expected to look at Micah Johnson, the brother in Dallas who took out the cops. People are expected to look at him as a lunatic and as a monster and all these other things because he didn't, fight back peacefully, when everything that we're experiencing in this country is violent. Everything we're experiencing in this country is violent. Even the brother Corey and Mark Hughes, the two brothers. Mark, I don't know if you recall, Mark Hughes was the brother whose name was falsely flashed across the country as the shooter, and he didn't actually do anything. Even this brother has been facing death threats and all kinds of threats from people that want to kill him because they falsely believe that he's the person who squeezed that trigger. The Dallas police treated Mark and Corey like they were criminals. They brought them in there and treated them like they put them in handcuffs and basically interrogated them like they committed a crime themselves. And so what I think is interesting about that is that their treatment of these two innocent Black men who are trying to actually be helpful is reflective of what we're mad about. This is a perfect example of what pisses us off. So it's ironic that when they look at you, when they look at your response to the violence, they expect you to be completely peaceful. But everything they're doing to you is entirely violent. Think about this. Think about how stupid that is, that I'm going to attack you with violence and then expect you to be peaceful. I punch you in the face and then you punch me back. And I'm like, whoa, why are you being so violent? What's wrong with you? What the hell? I mean, seriously, how stupid do you have to be for me to convince you to put down your gun when I got my gun in your face? It doesn't make any sense. But that's a strategy that's been used around the world. The United States does that. They're like, we're going to bomb you, but we want you to be disarmed. Put down your weapons. Put away your nukes. But we're going to blow the fuck out of you. Excuse my French. We're going to blow you up, right? So the idea here is that you got to use some common sense. You are so addicted to looking for a permission slip from white supremacists to love yourself that you don't even allow yourself to have the right to have your own independent thought. You have Miss Alabama, that poor girl, the Black girl who was the first Black Miss Alabama, who was on video, and she was basically saying that she can't help but to see Micah Johnson as a martyr and all these other things, and she was crying because she was so conflicted. She was like, I know it's wrong for me to feel this way, but this is how I feel. I'm like, you're feeling this way because that's logical. You're feeling this way because that's kind of what he might be for some people. I'm not saying that he is or isn't. I'm not telling you how to feel about him, but I'm telling you to follow your feelings and be okay with that. Trust your instincts. Trust your gut. Because white supremacy will have you thinking that you're crazy. White supremacy will have you thinking that what is right is wrong, and what's wrong is right, and what's left is right, and what's right is left. Seriously, it's insane. So the Chinese are different from the United States because the United States is very, very violent. We're ridiculous. The Chinese are like, all this violence ain't helping nobody. If I get mad at you and I go blow you up and I send a million soldiers over to your country, I'm getting innocent people killed. I am hurting other innocent people. We're causing long-term destruction just so we can pay ourselves to clean it up. That's the United States model. Just let's destroy a community and then make money off the devastation. That's what they've been doing to you for the last 40, 50 years with the war on drugs. So the war on drugs, that's all it is. It's just basically like a Marshall Plan type situation where it's like we're going to devastate this community and then we're going to make a ton of money from the devastation. I wouldn't say they're making money cleaning it up. They're making money incarcerating you. They're making money from policing you. They're making money with all of this stuff. So part of the reason that this horrible policing can't come to an end is because there's so much money to be made by harassing the hell out of people. And so the Chinese don't do that. What the Chinese do is the Chinese realize one simple thing. They say, hey, wait a minute. We got economic power. So we can walk softly and carry a big stick. So if you do something to the Chinese, if you violate them in any way, you piss them off in any way, or if you just do something that's just, even if it's right for you and it's wrong for them, it's against their interests, the Chinese will smile, okay? You know, they'll shake your hand at the meetings, and then they'll go home, and next thing you know, they put a tariff on, or they put a higher tax on whatever good you're exporting to China. Or the next thing you know, they stop shipping certain goods to your country. Or the next thing you know, the foreign aid that was coming into your country has suddenly disappeared. Or the next thing you know, the superstructures, the $1 billion of investment that they were going to do in your country, suddenly there's a bureaucratic hang up that keeps it from actually going through. That's what they do. They will smile at you. They won't blow you up. They won't put warships on your coast. They won't do anything. They will just shut you down economically. They will boycott you. They are brilliant at this. They do this all around the world. This is why they're gaining so much power in Africa right now. As bad as it is. I mean, I just wish Africa could own itself, which I think Africa will. I think Africa is right now they're in what some are calling the cheetah generation. The cheetah generation is people that don't buy into this nonsense that Africa can only survive off foreign aid, and charity. They actually believe Africa has the capacity to build its own businesses, develop its own industry, utilize its own resources for its own benefit. Africa should be the richest country on the planet. Not country, excuse me. It's not a country, it's a continent. See, I make that mistake sometimes, but I know it's a continent, not a country. Africa should be the richest continent on the planet because it's so enormous. It's got so many people, so many resources. It's ridiculous. That's why everybody goes to Africa to plunder the country. I keep saying country, the continent. If y'all next time y'all hear me say country, just you see me in the street, just walk up, smack me. Africa ain't no country, boy. Anyway. Look, so Africa, so you got the cheetah generation that says, we don't need foreign aid. We don't need your charity. We can take care of ourselves. That's different from what they call the hippo generation. The hippo generation, all those people from the past who believe that Africa can only survive if white people are coming through dropping off free stuff. But the problem with the free stuff is that when you're getting too much free stuff, it destroys your ability to produce for yourself. That's exactly what happened to black people with integration. In fact, this fall, we've got a film coming out. Anthony Harris is the director, and it's called Disintegration, D-I-S-S, integration. And basically, it really talks about how integration destroyed the ability of black people to produce for themselves. We don't have our own industry. We don't have our own educational systems. If we learn how, so what we got to do is really dig up the trenches. We got to go dig deep psychologically and just really do some reconstructive surgery on who we are as people. We got to do reconstructive surgery on how we think about the world. And what does that mean? That means we got to go back and actually really sort of reassess, just what it means to be a black person in this country, and link that back to the development of systems that sustain and support us. One of the biggest moves I made in my life that really, really benefited me so much is I practiced figuring out systems. I look at white folks and I see their systems, and Asian people and Jewish people, and I see their systems, and I would always start thinking, okay, how do we develop our own infrastructure? How do we create what we need in order to survive so we ain't got to go out here begging? How do we figure out a way to educate our own kids? Just the fact that you're taught to believe that you don't have the ability to educate your own child is a reflection of the brainwashing that you've received. Because all you and your child have to do is Talk to each other, number one. When you're talking to your child, you're educating your child. You're teaching them about life, right? You're teaching them about money, all kinds of stuff. Hopefully, you're also going to teach them about things like money and things like that. You also can educate your child by sitting in front of the computer. The internet is the best university in the history of the world. Sitting in front of the computer with your child allows you and your child to basically go and look at the resources that are out there. Most of the resources are either free or very low cost. Everything you need is out there. There's a site. We actually built an educational site called yourblackeducation.com. At yourblackeducation.com, we linked and networked with Black educators from across the country who want to educate Black children. So what's so interesting is that we have, by the way, if you're on Facebook Live and it goes out every now and then, I have no idea why that happens. It's just a glitch. So I apologize. If you need me to repeat something, I can repeat it for you. In fact, I'll do a quick recap on a couple of things here. And those of you who are watching from YouTube, just bear with me because I'm talking to the brothers and sisters on Facebook as well. Because again, this is an example of how we're trying to develop our own infrastructure. I got a call this morning to appear on CNN. And I called them back, but honestly, I was conflicted because I don't care about being on CNN. No disrespect to CNN, love them, but that don't belong to us. That's somebody else's network. They call the shots. And I don't know if y'all know this, but I was actually banned from CNN in 2008. There was a whole year where I was blacklisted from CNN because of something I said about Bill O'Reilly, of all people, right? You would think that CNN would have no problem with that, but the thing about it is that these liberal white people, not that they're bad, not that they're all bad. Some of them really want to do the right thing. God bless them. I really believe that. But seriously, a lot of them will sell your black ass off the river in a second. If they got to choose between themselves and you, you're done. So back in 2008, I got into a back and forth with Bill O'Reilly, and they literally banned me from CNN for a year. I couldn't get on the network. And this was at a time where Roland Martin and Mark Lamar Hill were doing a lot of CNN appearances because it was right during Obama's rise. And so Roland Martin, a lot of his rise was connected to the rise of Obama. Whereas myself, because I was pushed to the outside, I had to work even harder to say, how do I reach Black people without asking for a white man's permission? I don't like that anyway. I don't like feeling like somebody else is my daddy. And that's how it feels when you're constantly like, sir, can you please give me a chance to talk to my people, sir? Sir, if I get to talk to my people, I can tell them something good, sir. And I'm gonna tell them how good you is, sir. Cause if you just let me on your network, I promise you that I can go out here and really, talk to the people. I'm good. I can entertain. I can smile. I can dance, and I'm good. I can talk about celebrity gossip and Real Housewives and Lordy B. Seriously, that's what happens. We end up coning for either the cash or for the platform. And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to go on the overkill with that. And I'm not making fun of anybody who does this, but that's what happens. That's what happens. You get to that point where you're sitting there with some white guy who knows shit about your community, don't know nothing about Black people, but he's controlling the strings. He's like, well, BET is one of our properties, and we own BET, and we just want to see if you're good enough to be on our network, right? And you're like, why the hell is this old white man telling me that I should have permission to go on the Black Entertainment Television Network? That's ridiculous. That's insane to me. I mean, let's flip it. See, the best way to see the hypocrisy is to flip it. Imagine if you're Jewish and they got the Jewish Entertainment Television Network, and you're a Jew talking to a Black person who knows nothing about being a Jew, and you're explaining to him why he should allow you to talk to other Jewish people, and that going through him is the only method you have at your disposal to speak to other people in your community. Do you understand how horrible that would be? Do you understand how unacceptable that would be? The Jewish community would never allow such a thing. They would be sitting back in the back plotting and strategizing on how they're going to get your Black ass out the loop. They're going to kill the connect. You the connect. Oh, we about to work around you. So basically, at the end of the day, we got to work around that. We got to work around the connects when it comes to educating our children. We got to work around the connects when it comes to paying our bills and building our companies and creating our own jobs. We got to work around the connects when it comes to building our own media. That's why I believe the internet is the key to all of this. The internet's the key to all of this. In fact, I'm going to tell you guys about a dope-ass power move that was made last night. You know, you don't have the white guys make their business decisions on the golf course. You know, sometimes I get to have meetings that represent power moves when I'm talking to other brothers and other sisters. But before I mention that, I want you to write this down. Write down this URL, drboycewatkins.net. drboycewatkins.net. You can go get a free e-copy of my book, It Takes a Village to Raise the Bar, A New Paradigm for Black America. Also, if you're interested in teaching wealth building to your children, we have a wealth building program called Black Millionaires of Tomorrow. You can go to blackmillionairesoftomorrow.com, or if you want to buy Hidden Colors 4, we actually have a bundle pack with a free e-course as well as a lecture from Tariq Nasheed himself, where he comes to the Black Business School and talks about how he built his company from the ground up. So if you're interested, go to hiddencolorsbundlepack.com, or you can go to hiddencolors1234.com if you want the whole set. That's hiddencolors1234.com. So those are our little commercial breaks. We have to do those so that we can pay the bills. And if you support us, we really appreciate you. We love you, and we thank you so much for that. So anyway, so here's the dope power move that we made last night. I talked to somebody. We don't take investors usually in the Black Business School. We don't take investors in terms of anything that we do most of the time because we don't want anybody tainting what we're trying to do. One thing that people forget is they forget about how who you take money from determines how you can do business. It determines what you're able and what you're allowed to do as a business owner and what voice you're allowed to have. So people don't think about that. One of the biggest mistakes Black people make is that we are really, really what's the word? We're addicted to sort of taking money from whoever offers it because we're so desperate. And that's a natural thing, right? If you're desperate with low self-esteem, then you'll take offers that are not good for you. Or you'll take what is Damon Dash was jokingly referring to yesterday when we were talking about a deal with a major film distributor for our film Too Honorable. He said he calls it the nigga deal. You know, he says, yeah, they always offer you the nigga deal to see how desperate you are, because if you ain't got no money and you're just dying to get signed by somebody, you'll take the nigga deal. And basically what was going on was he was negotiating the rights to the film that we're releasing in August called Too Honorable, which you can check it out. It's an urban film. It's got some violence, so don't bring your kids to see this movie. But it's Dame's creation. I'm an executive producer along with Damon Dash and Kanye West, and so we're going to put it out. And we're also going to have discussions with the film, and we're also going to connect this to our class that we teach online at intelligentbossmoves.com. In fact, you can get the first month free of the class if you'd like to check it out. It's on intelligentbossmoves.com. But anyway, that's not the power move I was referring to. That was just a side thought. But going back to the cool power moves, I had a conversation finally with an investor that I could actually work with. I met a brother who's actually got some dough, got some money, and he said, "I love what you're doing." And I showed. He said, "Are the returns good? Are you making? Is the money? Money coming back?" I said, "Brother," I said, "if we could get the capital that we really needed, we could literally flip the whole Black community in another direction." I said, "So we work with the money we have. We're a 7-figure business. So we've got revenue coming in and out. We're employing a lot of people." I said, "But I'd like to be able to do more. I'd like to be able to, for example, one of the things we want to do is we want to be part of the creation of a Black Hollywood. We want to really not take over for ourselves, but for the community, be a part of the process of taking over the distribution and the creation of films that go into the Black community, right?" And so anyway, I made a deal with the brother. He was a second investor that we've taken on. The other one was from Africa. There's a wealthy man in Botswana that participated and gave us some capital that we needed to pull off certain projects. So this brother came through and he was like, "I'm down. What do I need to do?" And it was an awesome feeling for two Black men to make a business deal where everybody's going to win. And I love this. I love partnership. I just love partnership. Sometimes you can't avoid competition. Sometimes competition happens, but partnership feels so good because it's like, here we are, we're Black men sitting together, making business deals and getting the opportunity to be men, getting the opportunity to know that we control our own destiny, that we control the destinies of our families and of our communities. And I can tell you that anybody who's listening, that's the best feeling in the world. When you don't feel like you got to go beg and borrow from a white guy in order to get what you need. It's amazing. It's amazing. So we made a deal, and it's beautiful because it allows me to move forward on some projects that I wanted to pursue, because I said, look, this thing can work. I already know exactly how much revenue it'll bring in, how what the profitability is going to be, and it is great for the community, and it allows us to make a major move. Because what our challenge can be, and this is the challenge you run into when you start your own stuff, is you're competing against corporations that are super financed, right? So while I might have capital that finances me to be a scholar and to share my intellect with the world, I'm financing myself, but you'll have a corporation that'll finance, Young Thug and Rich Homie Quan to go out and spread, 10 times more ignorance. So the ignorance ends up drowning out the intellect, and it just becomes this really tough fight, this really uphill battle. And so what I'm really trying to do is over time help you understand and persuade you that what we're doing is worthwhile, and number two, to persuade you that this is a worthy thing for you to consider investing in, for you to be a part of. And in fact, at some point, what I want to really do is I want to raise $1 million or more, hopefully several million, to actually really develop what would almost be like a black bank, but it wouldn't be a bank. It would actually be a fund. It's the same thing. It's all about access to capital. That's what it comes down to. Access to capital. Access to capital matters because when you have access to capital, you can do things. If you want to think about how access to capital kind of works, it's just like you remember when you were a teenager and you were like, man, if I had a car, look at all the things I could do. I could go see my girl. I could go get a job. I could go visit my friends. I don't have to ask my mama for a ride no more, right? And so basically what you were doing in a way was you were kind of referring to access to capital. A car is capital because you were going to take that car and invest it and do things that were going to give you some kind of return. It might not be financial, but it can be emotional or just in terms of life satisfaction or whatever, right? So ultimately for us, the challenge is that we have a lot of black business owners who can't get their shit off. I keep saying cuss words. I'm so sorry. I'm sure this is so unscholarly of me to cuss sometimes, but hey, they can't get their great ideas off the ground because they don't have access to capital. They're like that teenager who's like, man, if I could just get me a car, I could get me a job and I could make so much money if I had a car, but they can't get a car, right? Or if I could get a car, I could go see that girl that I know she would give me a kiss and she would be happy. We could make a trade. That's what trade is, right? It's not just financial. It could be emotional as well. A relationship is a trade. So if I could go see that girl, she would be happy to see me and I'd be happy to see her and everybody wins. If I just had capital, if I just had a car that I could drive to her house to go see her, right? So ultimately what I want to do, this is the best investment we can make in our community out of everything we can do. Because forget what people are saying about black unemployment and white people giving us jobs. That does not strengthen you. That does not strengthen you. That only makes you more dependent on white supremacists to pay your bills and to feed your family. Do you understand this? Getting more white people to give black people jobs is not the solution to the black unemployment problem. It is not the solution. It will only make you more indebted to white supremacy. It will only make you more dependent upon the very same people who will support the cops so they can come in your neighborhood and shoot your son in the face. That is what seeking more jobs from white people will do. The best thing we can do for the community is build capital so that we can support businesses that allow us to produce what we want. Black people must be producers. Black people right now are trained to be the ultimate consumers. That's what we are. We will line up and buy the latest, greatest, everything. I swear it drives me insane. There was a young lady I mentored and I was ready to choke her because all she could talk about is getting the latest iPhone and a pair of Jordans to go with it. And I was like, your life is a mess right now. Why are you thinking about iPhones and Jordans when you should be fixing your life? You should be investing in your life. I don't understand this. All you talk about is iPhones and Jordans. I swear to God, if I hear another conversation about iPhones and Jordans, I will scream. I will go crazy. Love you to death, but this is nonsense. This is crazy. You're reflecting an addiction that has been fed to you since you were a child. So black people are trained to be the ultimate consumer. We must flip that and train our children to be the ultimate producers. A producer is not somebody who wants to go in the club and get drunk and throw money in the air. That's not a producer. That's a consumer. The producer is the person who builds the club, sells the drinks, and plays the music and says, y'all have fun. Y'all keep partying. I'm going to be in the back counting my money. So are they having fun? And so they walk out in the club and they ain't drinking nothing themselves. They don't get high on their own supply. But they out there, they want you to drink though. They're like, oh yeah, get them another bottle. Here, let me pour you some. You having fun? You guys have? That's what they do. That's what a producer does. A producer gets to, honestly, in a lot of capitalism, you got pimping and hoeing. You got wolves and sheep. Now, I'm not trying to say you want your kids to be I'm not saying, I'm not saying at all that you want your kids to be wolves. I'm not saying you want your kids to exploit anybody. I'm not saying you want your kids to be pimps. But understand, your child may not, you may not want your child to be a wolf, but you at least want your child to be a sheep with a gun. You want your child to be a sheepdog. A sheepdog can protect the sheep, right? So ultimately, we need these protectors who can produce and build and create things. So anyway, jumping back into this, I think somebody mentioned that I wish we could get radio stations. Let me tell you this. I personally don't think radio has a bright future in this country. I think radio and even TV to some extent it has gotten to the point where if it does not evolve, it's gonna basically be like shot down. You know, a lot of black-owned media. Another reason a lot of it has failed is due to the intense fear of innovation. A lot of these major black media outlets did not innovate, and they didn't. You know, somebody walks in, they're like, I have a proposal on how you can get online and you can use this brand and build a massive following digitally, and what would happen is they push them out. That's the problem with the black elite. You got people in the black elite who don't listen to nobody, and because black people are very conservative, they sit around and they hoard what they got. They protect what they got. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've had people tell me about, great proposals that were presented to HBCUs that eventually went bankrupt, where the people that were running the organization were so were so obsessed with holding on to power that they didn't allow those good ideas to come in. They would think, well, the ideas might be good for the institution, but they're not good for me and my job. Or, major media outlets, black-owned media outlets that I know of, that I can think of, that I love and support, where people have been trying for years to bang down the door and say, hey, we can help you. We want to help. What can we do? I have this expertise or that expertise. And they would say no. They didn't want to hear all of that. So, at the end of the day, it does become survival of the fittest. And some of these institutions might need to be knocked over and replaced by something that's more flexible, that's something that can adapt to the changing environment within which we live. And I know it's a horrible, I don't know if that's a comfortable thought for everybody, but it's true. I mean, or some radio stations. I mean, it ain't 1985 no more. Radio is not the king that it used to be. In fact, I was at Syracuse University, where we have allegedly one of the best media schools in the country, top 3 in the country, Newhouse School, that's what it's called. And I would have black students coming to me because they didn't have any black people over there that they could learn from who were doing what I did. They were like, wait a minute, you're the media experts. There's a business school professor who's on national TV every other day who has hundreds of thousands of followers. We want to go talk to him, so they will come talk to me. And I would sit there and I'll be like, so what are y'all learning? What are y'all doing over there? And they would tell me the stuff they were learning, and I would say, what the hell? Like, maybe this is how you ran a newsroom in 1982, but this isn't how you do media in 2000, and I guess it was 2008 at the time, 2007. So ultimately, what we've got to do is understand, where the gold is, where the oil is, so to speak, where the treasures are. The treasures are not in the past. The treasures are not in old school ways of doing things. You've got to be adaptive. You got to think of education as something that constantly evolves. Where there's new information out there, you got to soak it up. You got to think about it with your kids. You want your kids to be on top of technology, not so they can just sit around on the damn phone and Snapchat all day, but where they understand how money is made on the internet. Why does Mark Zuckerberg make more money in a month than LeBron James will make in his whole entire life? Why does he make that much money just by starting a social media platform that he built while he was in college? When your child goes off to college, are they being trained to just get a degree so they can hopefully pray and beg for a job? Or are they in college building a business? They should be in college building a business. The most important skill your child can have when they go to college is learning how to build a business. That's it. That's it. That is far superior to anything they're going to learn on that campus. Period. I don't care what their major is. This is about survival, about economic survival. And again, Zuckerberg built Facebook while he was in college. While everybody else is out at the party, Saturday night getting turned up. Zuckerberg was in the library like this, banging away, building up his dream. Now, if your child is in college and they study and they working on their dream, computer programming till 2:30 in the morning on a Saturday night, are the girls going to think they cool, or the girls going to think he's a nerd? Are the fellas going to think he's really doing something, that he's a visionary, or the fellas going to think he's a lame because he's not going to the step show. I see kids in college spend more time practicing for a motherfucking step show than I see them spend on any test that they take the whole 4 years they're in school. That is ridiculous to me. You should never spend more time preparing for a step show than you do for preparing for your own future. That's insanity. And understand this. Go watch Hidden Colors 4. Hidden Colors 4, there's a line that a brother makes, and I got to find out who this brother is, but he said this very, very clearly. He said that if somebody wants to empower you, they will educate you. If they want to control you, they will train you. That's it. So that they will train you the same way they train a monkey or a gorilla or a lion or an elephant in the zoo. That's what they do when they want to control you. And what happens in our schools? We get trained. Our kids get trained. It starts in elementary school. You're trained to behave. You're trained to sit still. You're rewarded more for good behavior than you are for actually having intellectual curiosity. You're not being educated. You're being trained. So you go to college, same thing. You're being trained to go work for somebody else. You don't want your children to receive that sort of poisonous brainwashing. You need your children to have something different, and the only person that's going to give it to them is you, or people in your community that you trust who happen to be able to do that. Maybe I'm one of those people. So if there's something you don't know, it's okay. Just stay connected with me. There are a few things I know. I know people who know other stuff, and our whole objective, our whole agenda is the takeover. The takeover. The takeover means taking over our future. It means taking over our destiny, and it means it has to start with love, and it has to start with pride. It has to start with dignity. It has to start with self-respect. Before you learn any other skills, those things have to apply, because you must see blackness as the most precious, most valuable thing in the universe. You have to love your people so much that you say, look, anything I do in my life doesn't matter if it doesn't help my people, period. You have to brainwash yourself on that. Literally, brainwash yourself. Other people are going to brainwash you. You might as well do it on your own, right? You must hypnotize yourself to remember at all times that supporting your people is more important than anything else you could be doing. And then what will happen is you're going to take the best love that you have, and the best energy, and the best skill, and the best resources, and the best know-how, and you're not going to go give it away to somebody else. You're going to see that as a waste. Doesn't matter how many awards they give you, how much they applaud for you or applause you, or how many accolades they give you, how many corner offices they give you, how many fancy titles they give you. It won't matter, because you'll say, well, I'm disconnected from my people, so right now I don't feel comfortable. Just like with family, like you take somebody out of one of the most ratchet households ever and put them in a nice environment, but they might be like, yeah, this is nice, and I got plenty of stuff, but I really want to be with my family, right? And I think that's kind of what we have to have in terms of our love for the community. You got to want to be around your own, period. All right. Okay. I'm going to stop talking. I get emotional when I start talking about this stuff, because I really feel this every day. And it's almost just kind of like a stubborn kind of, commitment to saying, like, no, you're not going to make me a little boy. I'm not going to be a little boy. I can't do it. I can't sit down in a meeting with a bigot and allow this person to just talk to me any old kind of way and disrespect me any old kind of way. In those situations, I've gotten good at ignoring it. Like I can look past it. Like I can laugh about a lot of racism that might offend certain people, because I just see it as ignorance, and I'm like, wow, white supremacy's really got your brain. But I forgive them. I can forgive. Like I can kind of say, okay, well, you know what? He just hasn't been taught any better. But at the same time, it's like, if I have to really be engaged, meaning that I really have to work with you and really be responsive to you, then I might get offended, because that means I've got to actually engage the white supremacy. Usually, if I see the white supremacy, I don't get offended if I can just shut it down and shut it out. Like, I'll just be like, he's just ignorant. I'm not paying attention. I don't really care what an ignorant racist white person has to say about anything. But if I have to actually deal with that person, like, so say for example, I'm trying to get a job or something. Let's say I was crazy enough to try to want to be on TV or something. I'm sitting with some bigot who has some condescending air toward me because he's got money and I don't, or he's got a certain type of power that I don't have access to. I walk away from that table. I just walk away from that table. And I've done this many, many times. I've had networks approach me about possibly doing a show, and they would list 80,000 hoops you got to jump through to make it happen. And I'll be like, nah, you know what? That doesn't even appeal to me. And you disconnected me from my people. You're going to waste my time because you're pulling me away from the work I deem valuable. There's no place on earth I'd rather be than right here talking to you. Right here on social media talking to you. I kid you not. There is no show on earth. There's no CNN, VH1, BET show I could be hosting right now that will give me more pleasure than sitting here talking to you right now, saying what I want in my own space, knowing I'm reaching hundreds of thousands of my own people, and loving you the way I get to love you right now. And so I'm gonna quit talking because like sometimes when talk about this, I start really getting into it, and I don't want to keep pushing on that issue, but it's so true. And so I encourage you to embrace that. I encourage you to not be afraid. To just follow your guts, follow your instincts. Now, Chris wants to know, when am I coming back to Houston? I may come back to Houston in the next couple of weeks. I'm thinking I might do maybe a class there, and maybe like a mini class that you can sign up for, and or a screening of Hidden Colors. But I want to make it more interesting. I don't want to make it just, let's just watch this movie and then go home. I want to make it into a discussion, maybe have a panel, maybe also have it maybe be like a film festival where I show a couple of films. You know, we show Resurrected Black Wall Street and Hidden Colors, and we talk about it afterward, and we, you know, make sure we get something to walk away with. I don't want it to just be entertained. I want us to be actually educated. So, by the way, do me the favor of writing these things down. If you want the free e-copy of the book, It Takes a Village to Raise the Bar, go to drboycewatkins.net. That's not .com, that's .net. The drboycewatkins.net. Second of all, if you want to get a copy of Hidden Colors 4, we actually bundled it with a free class in the Black Business School, e-copies of 4 of my books, as well as a lecture, an exclusive lecture that you can't get anywhere else, with Tariq Nasheed, where he came into the Black Business School and explained how he built his company. We've had lots of amazing people come through, from Dr. Claude Anderson to Dr. Julianne Malveaux. The real people, the people that should be on national TV, are getting that respect, not people that that are kind of put over in the corner. We know Dr. Claude Anderson is the godfather of all of this. And in fact, I'm actually going to reach out to Minister Farrakhan soon and see if I can bring him through as well. Also, if you're interested in what Damon Dash and I have going on, you can check out our class. You can get the first month free at intelligentbossmoves.com. That's intelligentbossmoves.com. Also, he and I have the film Too Honorable coming out next month. It stars a lot of interesting people. If you know this, if you know anything about battle rap, you know Murder Mook. He's the undisputed world champion in battle rap right now, which is actually a huge industry. You should go check it out. These brothers are real geniuses. There's another brother out. What was his name? Out in LA, and I'm gonna give him props because I love his style. The guide, B. The guide. Go look him up, because this brother actually did a battle rap that was one of the most brilliant clips that I've ever seen in my life. And he just basically he was dealing with this racist white boy and literally broke him down by critically analyzing white supremacy, but using the brilliance of hip hop to do this. And I love that video because that shows you what hip hop is supposed to be for. Hip hop was not meant to enslave us mentally like it does today. It was actually meant to liberate us. And B. The God actually does that. And I was actually honored when he told me that. He said I listen to you every day. You're one of my inspirations. So to me, that's the goal. That's my goal. As a 45-year-old in OG status, is to make sure these young guns out here, that you ain't scared. That you just realize, if you go to, as a young man. Unfortunately, the way the world works, young men have to be ready to go to war. When you go to war, you just can't be scared, and you have to still let go of the fear, even if you know that you might die, even not die physically. I don't want you to die physically, but you may not win the war. So keeping your manhood is really important, because that's your woman needs you to be a man. She needs you to have your nuts in check. When she meets you, she needs you to have your manhood connected to you. She doesn't want a weakened, emasculated little boy. She wants a real man. And your sons and daughters need real men. So anyway, I'm not gonna go into all of that, but you get the point. The next thing is, if you let's see, if you want your children to join our Black Millionaires of Tomorrow program, you can learn more about that at blackmillionairesoftomorrow.com. That's blackmillionairesoftomorrow.com. We're actually in the process of creating a 5-week boot camp for children. We're going to launch that real soon, probably in the next week or two. And then what else is going on today? Oh, I forgot to even mention this. Today we're actually going out, and today I'm in LA. We're going to finish shooting. We actually decided to take Steel Justice, which we were going to make into a TV show, and we decided to make it into a film. We had a distributor that said, hey, we'd like to see this as a movie. So we went back and we got Richard T. Jones and Claudia Jordan, and Damon Dash is in it, as well as somebody else, Richard Brooks, who's on Being Mary Jane. So we're shooting that today. We're going to wrap that in the next 3 days. So we got a lot of stuff coming out. Steel Justice is about a black attorney, and it's got some really good storylines to it. I was really pushing to be involved in the script, the writing of the script and all that stuff. So once we do this, once this is done, the plan is to then flip that and move forward. We're going to shoot productions in some in LA, but a lot in in Atlanta. I want to go to Atlanta because you got black folks in Atlanta. So I want crews and I want people, black folks, being involved in the stuff that we do on a heavy level. So pretty soon I'll set up the infrastructure where you can, if you're an actor and actress, you can send us your stuff. If you are a writer, you can send us stuff. If you, do other things, if you're a shooter, you can send us stuff, and we'll do our best to support you. But what I really also need is I need you guys to really be evangelists for what we're doing here, because at the end of the day, we're going to have to raise some money. And I'll be real transparent in terms of saying this is what we're doing with it. You'll see results. But ultimately, if you can believe in this and see what we're doing and see yourself as a party to this, then that really helps us, because I really know that when we come together in that way, I think that there's some amazing things we can do. And also, last thing, this is actually something that definitely that I want you to write down, because this will help you. My email address. My email address is boyce@boycewatkins.com. That is my real email. I don't have another one. It's boyce@boycewatkins.com. Now, if you email me, I'm not going to answer most of the time because it's too many emails. I get like 1,000 a day, so there's so much that comes through. And if I was typing responses to every email, my fingers would fall off. But the reason you can email me if you need help, if there's something that you're working on where we can support you, is because we have this really great autoresponder that comes back to you that breaks down like who you can contact in our organization if there's something that you need help with. So, for example, if you're trying to get help selling your product, we have the blackcommercenetwork.com. That's in the autoresponder. If you want to do an interview with Andre Hatchett on Financial Juneteenth and have your business featured on the platform, that's in the autoresponder too. If you need to talk to me about a business deal, that's in the autoresponder to Rashida. Well, you can reach out to her. So basically what we're trying to do is develop structure for something that will be here long after we're gone. Because remember, we've only got this much time to do everything we want to do in this life. History is super long, and the time that you're here is but a dot. It's like a dot on a line. So in that dot, you got to get out here and get it done. You got to make it happen. Start today. Whatever it is you want to do, you got to start today. Stop waiting until next week and next month. You got to go start right now. Get it cracking. Get it moving. Even if you don't know what the hell you're doing, even if you're lost, even if you're scared, even if you don't understand it, just move forward. Make progress. Don't sit still. Never, ever. All right? And don't ever give up on yourself. All right. I'm out of here, guys. I love you, and I'm about to go get ready, get dressed. I'm playing the judge in Steel Justice, so do I look judgely? Yeah. Anyway, I'm out of here, guys. So I'll talk to you soon. Have a good day. Peace.